roll in. How's everyone doing? How's everyone's Leo season going so far? Hello, how's everyone's Leo season? Be sure to drop it down in the comment. Hello, hello. Perfect. So we're going to be talking about the week ahead, from today and on to the 8th. We're also going to be talking about the full moon in Aquarius, mostly breaking down what's going on with that. Heart chakra, I see someone watched the last live. There we go. It's dramatic. Smack me in the face, but it's chill. Okay. Vibe check. Listen, sparkling. It's busy. Yeah, I mean, Leo season is definitely like the first bit of fire energy that we've had in a long time. So getting it back to the passion of things, getting back into the swing of really the spirit, the fire that everyone has within and such. So yeah, it's pretty amazing, right? So one moment. All right, let's get started, right? So the week ahead. Last week, we didn't have as crazy as a week as far as certain trends were concerned, right? However, this week, we do have a handful of major shifts that ends up happening, right? And before I do get started, anyone that wants to know anything more about me, my name is Chad the Maverick. Chad the Maverick across the board, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, etc. I'm an astrology teacher here at House of Intuition. I have a couple classes as well that's coming up. On the 10th, I have the astrology of your age, breaking down the Profection years, really explaining how each age and each year is coming. On the 13th of August, I have a class about how the planets communicate, talking about the aspects between people. And then I have the Leo new moon celebration I'm going to be doing on the 19th, breaking down the Leo new moon, how it affects you, and really breaking in the sun sign in astrology and why that's important and why it's working with you during this time frame, right? So, let's get into it. So for today's astrology, we're going through what my good friend the Peace Dealer calls is the gauntlet, right? And what this is happening and what's happening with this, right, is that the moon is going through and passing Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn all in Capricorn at the same time, right? So with the moon passing through all these phases, you have to understand with Capricorn energy, this has been the epicenter of the seriousness that has been going on in the world. It's been the epicenter of the major shifts in society, the major shifts in all of those fears, all of those waves, right? So what we're doing in going in from yesterday into today, because I mentioned someone asked me about the astrology yesterday. The moon has been in Capricorn, right? So what the moon is doing right now is making things a little more serious. There's a little more an undertone of a certain sense of stoicness, right? People are really in this space of trying to figure out what it is they need to utilize in order for their dreams to really work, what they need to utilize in order for everything else to work around them. So when it comes to this, right, having the moon here, the moon's going through Jupiter. Jupiter is usually expansion and luck. But in Capricorn, Jupiter is more so trying to figure out what is the business? What's the business going to be? Going through Pluto, Pluto is making this transformation for people where it's like, okay, so this is what I want to do. How am I going to make this changes needed in myself in order for these things to alchemize and work in real life, right? And then the third one is when it comes to the Saturn being in Capricorn, this is really shifting and showing where it's like, well, now that you understand what you want to do, now that you understand what you want to go about, this is how you need to be and what energy you need to maintain throughout the rest of this season and throughout pretty much past Virgo season and such like that. So this is a time frame to really take stock and really figure out what it is that you want to really like sincerely bring forward, because this is going to be the critical point in order for this to happen, right? And this is before the Aquarius full moon. The Aquarius full moon. And the Aquarius full moon is going to be starting on the 3rd, on this Monday, right? So in between this time frame, right? So think about it. Today is a day where you have to really take stock Own your own personal authority and own your personal power, because coming on this Monday, that's going to be unleashed in a different way. But I'm gonna explain that in a moment, right? So let's get into the second, right? So tomorrow on the second, we have the sun square Uranus, right? And the moon starts to go into Aquarius. So with the sun squaring Uranus, what this is doing, the universe is going to be sending you this random electric strike, right? And what this random electric strike is going to do is it's going to make you have to make a shift within your life. And with it being with the sun aspect, right, it's going to be a shift in how you operate with your personality. It's a shift in how you operate with your role to the world. It's a shift in how you shine, right? But it's going to be unexpected, and it might not even be in a way that you think. So let's say it's like, hey, I want to get a shine because I'm a cook and I'm a great cook, right? What might happen is that someone might give you shine because you're a great singer. And meanwhile, you're like, but wait, I'm a great cook. Why aren't people giving me credit for being a great cook? And it's like, well, the universe, Uranus is lightning strike. It's like, no, you're a great singer. You're going to be recognized for being a great singer right now. Take it, embrace that. And with this Aquarius full moon, what's happening is that there's going to be people branching in from all different places, all different walks of life in order to come in and help you garner that and help you bring that sense of community together when it comes to all of those energies, right? So just be aware that there is going to be a shift, and this whole week is full of shifts. So definitely be on the right side of the shifts and tap into the universe, tap into your frequency, because the more that you tap into your frequency, the easier it is to ride with what the universe is going to be giving to you, what the universe is going to be working with you through in the process, right? So let's move on. So we're going into right now the full moon in Aquarius, which is the main reason we're here for this live, right? So on a full moon, it's going to be on Monday, right? So the full moon in Aquarius is really going to be this like electric shock of finding new people to incorporate with, rekindling your relationships with people that you have like an electric connection with. People know when they meet people that are in their soul family. People know when they meet people that are meant to be in their lives. It's an instantaneous thing. You don't think too much about it, and it just happens the way it does. It's organic. You start speaking, you start thinking into better ways of how to connect with other people. But the biggest point when it comes to this full moon is breaking into your authenticity, like for real, like straight up. You're full who you are as a person, especially with this Leo season. So the way that full moons work in general, for anyone that doesn't know, astrologically at least, so when the sun sign, which right now is in Leo, is going to be, the moon is going to be opposite the sun. So the sun being in Leo, the moon being in its opposition is going to be pretty much, the opposition portion is like two sides of the same face happening at the same time. So when it comes to astrology in general, most signs, if you have, let's say you're Aries, that means your sister sign or your partner sign would be Libra. So with that being said, you have the same type of energy, but two different faces of it. One's the yin side, one's the yang side, and you guys are supposed to work together to figure it out. And that's kind of what's happening in a sense when it comes to this this Aquarius full moon in this Leo season. So if you saw my last live, I was talking about how Leo season is about the heart, right? Which it is. Leo season is very much about the heart center, about really tapping into those feelings, tapping into those emotions and allowing them to manifest into real time. Whereas the Aquarius energy is usually more so associated with the mind, the divine mind, tapping into the different frequencies and tapping into the universal spectrum and gaining wisdom and downloading wisdom in order for you to bring better advancement into the things that you do, into the things that you love. So what this is happening is that your heart and the divine mind are going to be working in conjunction. Now, full moons are very powerful energies. It's huge releases onto the whole entire collective. So it's not like you're necessarily going to be able to control it per se. However, if you do want to be in the best light and in the best energy for the full moon, I do suggest you go into a house of intuition. Whichever house of intuition is open, ordering online and getting the full moon candle. I love the candles, the full moon candles and the new moon candles. They're some of my favorites, and they definitely are going to help you garner in with, have some crystals on the bottom as well, so you get that charged up with all the energy and such like that. Yeah, so that's definitely my suggestion as far as you like riding the waves and riding the vibe when it comes to this full moon coming up, right? So we have a couple other things that are happening on this day and on this full moon, right? So we have the Mercury opposite Saturn, and we have Venus conjuncting the North Node. Something that's really cool to point out, last night I looked up outside and I saw this big giant sphere in the sky, and I usually look at the stars at night anyway. 11 haha. Anyway, I usually look at the stars anyway, right? But when I was looking at the stars, I was like, what is this big glowing giant like thing in the sky? I'm like, is that a ship? Is that like some type of aircraft? And I was like, oh no. And I looked at my phone, and I have this app where I get to like see what's in the sky, and it was Venus there, and Venus was like shining bright. Now Venus is also known as the morning star, and in ancient times it was seen as like the other sun, or it was also known as the other sun in the morning. It was the brightest thing in the sky before the actual sun came up, right? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because Venus is going to be conjuncting the North Node. Now, if you just went to my class the other day where I was breaking down the North Node and South Node, you will know that the North Node denotes to destiny, right? Destiny is on the rise, and Venus is related to the heart. So that means that destiny is making a shift on this full moon, like for real. Destiny is making this shift, and with this, the star app's called Skyview Light. There's other ones that you can use as well, but that's just what I looked at, right? So when it comes to like Venus there, right, your heart is really connecting to destiny. So where on the one end, your heart's already working because of this Leo energy, but now because of Venus, like it's the passion of the heart is Leo, whereas the heart itself is Venus, right? So now you're working with the passion of the heart, which is guiding you through your destiny. And that's the reason why this is so critical of a time. But with Mercury opposite Saturn, it's not necessarily time to try and push out any like new restrictions for yourself. It's more so a time to just be able to communicate in comparison to you trying to push your own like agenda or push your own vibe onto something else. You get where I'm coming from? Because the universe is really like pushing through not only this full moon in Aquarius, but this Venus in North Node conjunction, which is leading us forward in our story. It's leading us forward into our next story, into our next thing. And now we're going to be getting into the next few days, right? And the next day we're going to have Mercury entering Leo. So when it comes to Mercury entering Leo, I'm going to be breaking this down even further in my next live stream next week on Saturday, just so you can see how it works in the whole conjunction. But with Mercury going into Leo, that means our minds, our brains, our thoughts are going to start to shift from where they have been on thoughts of the home, thoughts on how to nurture, thoughts on how to feel good in a certain space. And what it's doing is, in comparison to that, it's going to be going into what are we passionate about? The creative mind. If you haven't been creative lately, the Mercury in Leo is going to be forcing you to become creative again, because the only thing that's going to be on your mind is like art. It's going to be art. It's going to be things along the lines of that, things that make you feel good. Mercury in Leo is going to be this nice energy shift in comparison to the heaviness that's been going on, because now our minds are going to be away from everything that's crazy and a little bit closer to what it is that we want to accomplish as far as our creativity is concerned, how we want to show up to the center stage, how we want to speak, how we want to communicate. And we're going to be communicating through the passion of our heart. Once again, Leo. And since Mercury and Leo work very close together, literally because Mercury is the closest orbit to the sun, it's going to be building in and pushing in new shifts as far as how you express your inner heat, your inner fire. So that's what's going to be going on with that, right? Also, on that same day, Mars is going to be squaring Jupiter. So with this Mars square Jupiter, what's happening is that in this creativity, you're going to be making things, but don't push the creativity too hard. So don't go from, hey, it's time for me to be creative again. All right, cool. I make music. Time for me to make an album. It's not time for you to just jump and make an album. Make the song. Make the best song that you can in that time. It's not like, hey, oh, I feel creative again. It's time for me to make a whole entire art gallery, right? It's not time to make the whole art gallery. It's time for you to work on that painting. It's time for you to make that really great sculpture. Like, this is what I mean as far as it going into it, because we're not super deep into that energy yet. We're just entering it. So it's like, this is the first inklings of your creativity being re-sparked, the first inklings of your creativity really making a new shift, really making a new move. So that's pretty much what's coming through, coming in on that day, right? So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is that Wednesday? Yes. So Wednesday on the 5th, right? We're going to have the moon going into Pisces, right? So for the next 2 days, from the 5th to the 6th, right? We're going to be having the moon entering Pisces. So we're taking all of what I was just saying from the full moon, and we're going to be pushing it even further as we begin to dissolve from our initial desires. So where the full moon is really us harnessing into the desires and really like feeling into what's going to be shifting next, what's really going to be happening next, the Pisces moon is going to be the letting go. In order to properly manifest something, you have to hold that intention, hold that power, and then let it go and let it be, let it flow, let it happen. And that's the energy when it comes to through for this Pisces moon, right? So we're going to have the moon conjuncting. I am going to mention the Lionsgate portal in a second. That's actually a good point. I'm glad that you brought that up. So what happens with this, right? The moon conjunction with Neptune is that it's going to be on IGTV as well. I'm going to be putting it up and making sure that it's there so people can go back, check it out. Once more, for anyone else that's here, Chad the Maverick, on all social media platforms. I'm also teaching classes as well. I have a class through House of Intuition on the 10th about Profection years, about the astrology of your age, breaking down why each age that you have in your life is going to be different and what themes are going to come from it. So if you're 22, you're going to be in a certain frequency. If you're 23, you're going to have a certain frequency. And every age that you live through has a different vibe and different feeling, right? Now, when it comes to on the 13th, I'm going to have how the planets communicate. So essentially, I'm going to be breaking down how different aspects work within your chart. So you might have like a sun conjunct moon. If you have a sun conjunct moon, it might be really easy for you to express who you are because you are just who you are. So I'll be breaking down all the different aspects between oppositions, trines, sextiles, all the whole nine. So be sure to take notes for that. And on the 19th, I'm going to be going through and having the the Leo new moon celebration. Where I'm going to be talking about the Leo new moon, what's happening for the new moon for all the signs, as well as how your sun sign is being activated through this new moon. And I'll be breaking all of that down. That's going to be on the 19th. But I'll be bringing that up again in the next live on Saturday. But just wanted to let y'all know in the process. So let's go into the Lionsgate portal. I keep seeing mentions of the Lionsgate portal. You want to know why the Lionsgate portal is going to be even more potent? It's because the moon is going to be conjuncting Neptune. And what Neptune is, right? Neptune is the great dissolver. The reason why Neptune is very misunderstood is because Neptune is very connected to the universal spectrum. It's very like, it's the dream energy. Your dreams are essentially stemmed through Neptune. You know how like the dreams, it's like the dream state is coming into life. It's coming to life. You're seeing the dream state happen, right? So with that process, the Lionsgate portal, which usually happens on 8/8, but it's a little bit earlier this year. But what the Lionsgate is doing, remember how I was talking before about the full moon and how it's opening your heart and it's also connecting you to the divine force and the divine consciousness and mind? I'm Lionsgate portal right now. So the Lionsgate portal happens once a year in this part of Leo season. And what it essentially does is that it is a universal shift that ends up breaking into a deeper part of your personal identity. It really like opens up your sun sign in a different way. It taps you into that frequency as far as that inner fire, into all of that type of deal. So, and it's a certain, I can't remember the specifics off the top of my head at the very moment. I'm gonna be breaking that more down next Saturday. But what the Lionsgate portal is doing with Neptune is breaking through all of your preconceived notions of what you can do. It's not what you think you can do more of. And not that you're not doing enough, it's just that it's showing you that your potential is limitless in the things that you want to do. And that's what's really coming through with this like Lionsgate portal, this Neptune energy that we're going to be going through this Wednesday and Thursday. So it's going to be like almost you have to surrender to yourself. Actually, that's what it is. If you want to break it down to anything this Wednesday and Thursday, after all of this energy that you're like using and utilizing, you're going to have to really learn how to surrender to yourself. You get where I'm coming from? Like a true surrender. And surrendering is hard. It really is. It's not easy to just like let go of that, because we're so focused on what we need to do, what we need to accomplish, what we need to push forward, that when we do surrender, we're like, what's going on? And that's why Neptune gets a little interesting rap as far as like certain astrologers and such. But that's what's really going to be coming through. So the sweet surrender that you give is going to be bringing you better. How do you do that? How do you surrender? You know when you really want to do something and you're like, yo, I really want to go to this concert, I really want to go to this, I really want to do this, and then in the process of it, for some reason it's not working the way that you anticipated, and you're like, man, I really want to do this, and I want to do it this way, and it's my way or the highway, and I have to do this, and you're pushing forward, and you're pushing forward, and you're pushing forward, and you end up miserable because you keep trying to push for something in comparison to letting it happen. So what the surrender is that, hey, despite you wanting that, hold what you want, but then surrender to the flow of things. Because maybe that concert you can't go to, but now there's this live concert that's being streamed through, that's like all of your favorite artists together, which is 10 times better than what you initially anticipated, right? So that's pretty much what's like coming through. So now this is all the wrap together, right? So now with this Lionsgate portal, with this new moon and this moon with Neptune, right? All of these things together, making you surrender to yourself, into your own love, into your own personal space. And that's what I need to say about that, right? So now we're going to be going on to the next day. I appreciate y'all for showing up. Thank you. Anyway, but for the next thing, right, we're going to be breaking down Venus and Cancer. Venus and Cancer is going to begin, and we're going to have this new focus on how to build a home, how to create the home and have the home be around us, right? This is how are we going to feel comfortable within our home space? How are we going to feel comfortable in these new environments that are going to be coming to us? And we're going to be building these environments based off of what we want to create, right? One thing about this too, when the Venus enters Cancer, the moon in Aries is going to conjunct Chiron. So what this does is that this is going to be really tapping people into their sense of personal identity in order for them to know what they want to build that home around, what they want to build that environment around. And it's not necessarily just physical. It could also be a very emotional thing. It could also be a very internal thing that's happening as well. How are you building your walls and boundaries, and who are allowed in your walls and boundaries? These are like the type of themes that are coming through with Venus and Cancer being there, right? And so then onward to the 8/8, which is technically the day that the Lionsgate portal generally happens, but the moon in Aries is going to be conjunct Lilith. So what that's going to do is that it's going to really be tapping people. Yeah, Chiron be going hard. I'm gonna have a class on Chiron later at the end of August, but I'll break down the information then. But for Chiron being on the moon, what this is doing is that it is essentially triggering some inner parts of you in order for you to work through those inner parts of you and push the best you forward after in that process. So having the moon conjunct Chiron, yeah, the moon and Chiron and Lilith on the moon as well is really tapping into your sense of inner truth, inner power, really tapping into your sense of that. I'm a Sagittarius, if you couldn't tell. I talk a lot and I explain things. It's fun. I like teaching. It's literally the most stereotypical Sagittarian archetype ever. So I love teaching astrology and stuff like that. But hey, that's what it is. But when it comes to all of that, right? That's really going to be pushing forward your personal truth, personal identity, what's really on your mind, what's really going on in your own internal world. So this whole entire week, there's a bunch of shifts happening. But if I had to break it all down together at one time, is that the universe is showing you and bringing you into your power, making you let go of your power in order for you to come back into your power even stronger as this moon in Aries comes and as these next upcoming time frames are coming. And it is about power. It's about tapping into your heart and your mind simultaneously. These are the ways that it works, right? I was at North Hollywood, so you might have seen me at North Hollywood at the time. But outside of that, right? That's pretty much the astrology of the week. If anyone has any like quick questions that they want to drop down in the comments or anything like that, I'm a little more focused now that I got the main bits out of the way as far as the transits are concerned. But yeah, once more, definitely recommend for everybody. Full moon is on the 3rd. For anybody that hasn't gotten a full moon candle yet from House of Intuition or any other candles that might work, they also have crystals, sage, different, all the stuff you need. I'm gonna be real, like it's everything. If you want something or you're thinking, hey, I kind of want this, and there's anything metaphysical related, I'm telling you, they have it. They have it. So what transits make up the Lionsgate portal? I believe it's if I'm not mistaken, it was a conjunction with Sirius. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but it's a conjunction, or the way that it is interacting with Sirius, which is the fixed star. The Lionsgate portal, if I'm also not mistaken, is the connection to like the pyramids in like Giza and such like that. Like the pyramids in Egypt are lined up specifically the Sphinx, that's what it is. The Sphinx is lined up to the Lionsgate portal, and that's how that opens up. But yeah, I'm gonna make sure I have that more concrete for the next live on Saturday, just so I can break that down better for y'all. But yeah, it's pretty dope. Full moon in August. Tune in. What to expect for the full moon? What to expect for the full moon? You're gonna be connecting with so many different people in these new electric type of ways, and this new electric type of environments that really tap you into the people that are meant to work with you, that are meant to be amongst you, that are meant to essentially nurture your inner authenticity. These are all the type of vibes that are coming through, as well as you tapping into your higher consciousness, your higher self, by moving with your heart. So working through your heart and your mind, you're going to be able to push this forward. So I'm afraid to kiss me. Yeah. But outside of that, once more, I'm going to break down the classes that I'm going to be having this upcoming, not this upcoming week, but the week afterwards. So what we're going to be going through, I'm going to have on the 10th. On the 10th, we're going to be having the astrology of your age class, where I'm going to be breaking down Profection years and why each year is different, how each planet how each planet rules specific years and how that works within you for your personal chart. I'm also going to be breaking down how the planets communicate on the 13th, where I'm going to be breaking down the different aspects that happen within it, from conjunctions, trines, squares, etc. All of these different ways that the planets talk with one another to create certain energies that happen to us all the time, especially within our own personal charts and who we are. And then on the 19th, when a new moon happens, I'm going to be doing a conversation on the Leo new moon, as well as how people are going to better tap in to their personal power through their sun sign, because the Leo new moon is really activating people's sun sign in order for you to push that forward and bring your light to the world. But yeah, appreciate everyone that showed up. Once more, if you want to add me, Chad the Maverick on Instagram, Twitter, etc., YouTube, anything along the lines of that. I'm also offering services, so feel free to check those out as well. And yeah, until next week, have a great one, y'all. Peace.